Security announcement. Passengers are reminded to keep luggage items behind them at all times. Any defects on a threshold station will be immediately and may be destroyed.
A few weeks back, a boy I went out with at school saw my brother in town and shouted, "Oi, Jono, I saw your sister pushing a buggy up Derby Road the other day," and I was like, "Whoa, I expected more from her." And my brother, being an ally of mine obviously, but also diplomatic like my dad, and with a desire not to start a potential situation with a schoolyard tool, said, "Ah, no mate, nah, she's done stuff, she's just stayed close to home like we have, eh?" And the boy, now pushing 40, raised his eyebrows and nodded suspiciously as if I couldn't possibly have achieved anything this close to where I was born, especially not now I'm dragging a couple of kids about. A few weeks later, I saw the boy, bloke, still a dick, selling a big pile of bath towels, 2 for a tenner, outside Ann Summers in Derby city centre on a less than official looking stall/pasting table. It soothed the wounding somewhat, although I did duck my head to avoid locking eyes as I was pushing the aforementioned and somewhat shit buggy and wearing threadbare leggings with holes on the inside legs. It's pretty brutal when a lad you shagged on a field when you were 15 starts publicly appraising your life choices. It shouldn't hurt, but it does, because deep down, not even that deep, you're still that 15-year-old lying on a dog shit stained field in the dark, wanting this dickhead in a Liam Gallagher long leather coat to like you. And because the fact you never left your hometown, at least not for long anyway, is obviously something you think about a lot, if you're conscious like. There's something about growing old in the place where once you were young, in front of everyone else who stayed, or worse, those who popped back from their London lives, that somehow equates to failure. They see you on the same streets with grey roots and wrinkles and a husband, and it's like a quiet tragedy that you never made it further than the edge of where you started, or strayed from that nuclear family narrative you were clearly force-fed and unable to resist. Nobody could possibly choose this, that you're so lacking in adventure and imagination you simply just stayed put. Even if you went elsewhere and achieved nothing much at all, there is uninterrogated respect in the fact you had the vision and guts to get out. This quiet tragedy is heightened if you showed some sort of promise at school, because that promise was a promise to all the boys who touched you, and all the teachers who made extra time for you, and all the women who hard fought for you, that you were going to be somebody somewhere that wasn't here. That promise was meant to lead you out of this supposedly shitty adolescent life and into a shiny, modern and inspirational version of adulthood. You owed it to them. To simply stay is disappointing for all involved. Rest assured you will be judged. I remember when I was 30 and I'd just discovered the idea of being a writer and I was buzzing with it. I'd quit my full-time office job, split with a boyfriend I loved, and I was free and ready to write myself into a new life. And a man I know, not from here, said to me, "So what do you want to do now then, travel?" And I said, "Nah, I'm not really bothered about travelling at the moment." And he said, "Spoken like a true Midlander." Funny the things that ring in your head for the rest of time. 1 million comments a month you absorb, but a tiny few stay active forever. That man obviously had Midlanders down as people completely lacking in ambition. Rude, really. Wrong. Probably just a joke, but you know what jokes are like when they hit a nerve. Not that funny. A famous playwright once called me provincial in a backhanded sort of way. And I thought, yeah, you're probably right. And I sort of took it on as me. I sort of sat back into it. Not in a bad way, in a thank fuck way. Take away the pressure of proving something and let me just stay the fuck home, where the people know me and the landmarks throb with memories of all the mundane and overwhelming moments that make up a life. That's where my grandparents died. That's where I lost my virginity. That's where I got married. That's where a bully beat me up and a friend's brother saved me in a slow motion movie moment. That's where I gave birth to our second baby who couldn't breathe. That's where we thought he might die. That's where I broke off our engagement. That's where I snogged my way through 24 different men at midnight on New Year's Eve. All dull domestic shit when I write it here, but still the stuff I think I'll remember when I'm dying. The sheer raw ache inside of me when all those things happened. Things I like to be able to reach out and grab and gather up in my arms and stuff into my pockets and my bags and the bursting rooms of our house from my front door. I don't know why I need to be this close to it all. When I was 19, I saved up and went backpacking around Australia. I'd never been abroad, so it was big. I went with a mate and we took trips all over the East Coast, rode the Greyhound bus through the night, accidentally swam in shark-infested waters, got off with weirdos, sailed around the Whitsundays for 3 days, ate too many hash cookies in Mimbin and couldn't close our eyes for 24 hours. Email had just entered our world, and I went to an internet cafe once a week and wrote electronic letters to my family and read theirs. It's funny, because of everything that happened, and it was a lot for a teenager who'd never been on an aeroplane. Of everything, those $5 hours in various internet cafes are the moments I remember most. Deep in my gut. The feeling of connecting with home from so far away. The feeling of connecting with those who know me best, like air and breath, after another week of exhilarating drownings in the new and unknown and the messy and desperate business of growing up. Home has always been just under my skin. I'm not sure it's like that for everyone, is it? I actually live on the same street where I was born, 2 doors down from where my nonna lived when I was a kid. I'm not particularly proud of it. A little embarrassed, if anything, depending who I'm talking to. But if I look out our back bedroom window, I can see part of her garden where we used to lie out in the sun together like 2 cats on hot paving stones. And I can still feel the deep, warm contentment in the marrow of my bones when I look at that little patch of garden. I wonder if I'd remember it the same if I lived somewhere else. Would I? Probably. I think memories work wherever you are. I live in Long Eaton, Moth Eaton. Mong Eaton, some really basic people like to call it. Cheers for that, guys. It's smack bang between 2 cities. Nottingham Road leads out of the town that way and Derby Road the other. It's pretty much the most landlocked place in the UK, which is quite shit for someone who loves the sea as much as me. There's nowhere close I can go to see an uninterrupted horizon line. There's something suffocating about that, about all of it. But the bulb is my heart, and the roots grow down so thick through my toes and wrap themselves stubbornly around the dirty paving stones of these streets I've always known. I often try to work out if the weight of it all is worth it. I've listened to others talk about home, describing poetically the perfume in the air and balmy summer nights and the collage of colours and sounds that make up the place where they were born. If I did that, it wouldn't be pretty. Not because this place isn't beautiful, but because I mostly remember the messy bits. Death and sex are usually closest to the surface when I think about home, wrapped and trapped in the feelings of being young and on the edge of something. Home for me is not some romanticised place I go back to in my dreams, probably because I never left for long enough. I don't know why I'm not desperate for more than this. Maybe I am. If I cut myself open a little deeper than I dare, maybe I am. But what good would that bring? Discontent? Longing maybe? Unfulfilled feelings I can never truly satisfy? I love to be in love, and I find it hard to be in love when I let myself want too much. Is it centuries worth of programming that keep me here, quietly accepting things that hold me in the domestic? Maybe this is just what I want. Maybe I know that everyone is trading one thing for another when it comes to living. Maybe I know that simple happiness is hard to come by. I do know that home feels good. I know it's a place I always come back to. I find it impossible to stay away. I've never found the people I need to replace those that are here. No one else is ever enough. I feel untethered without the weight of all this around me. I went to live by the sea once, and for a while it was wonderful. It looks like a book now, tinted as it is with a rose wash. But it always felt like a holiday. It always felt like one day I had to come back. It rarely felt like the smelly, messy, painful, dirty, bleeding mundanity of real, beautiful life. I don't know why I need to be near a field where I was fucked when I was 15 to feel like I'm home. And somehow I really hope my daughter feels differently than I do. But I know I'll ache for her with my whole, open, butterflied and bashed up heart when she leaves this town where we were born. Postscript. Writing and recording this has made me unhappy, I think. I turn it over in my head and I wonder if it's really what I wanted to say and how I want you to remember me. A disappointing, buggy-pushing home dweller lacking the fight to break out and paint something bold. It made me question why I need to feel physically connected to the past, to my parents and siblings and the soil that first touched my feet. Why is there an unbreakable umbilical cord from my belly to that street corner where I had my first kiss? I don't fully understand the price of it all yet. Or the payoff. I guess I never will. Maybe one day I'll look back on it all much more clearly than I can now. I hope I remember that peace was important to me and that I found it here. So anyway, instead of this, I sat and tried to compose a rousing eulogy to our city. I wanted to send you all out of here, full of the beauty of my hometown and yours, wherever you may be. I wanted to pretend that this place is so great it makes the choice to stay a simple one. But deeper inside of me than the majesty of the Peak District in the snow as the sun rises, and the thrill of a show that rips your eyes open in the car park studio, and the patched memories of full and inspiring evenings in wine-sodden cultural corners of Derby, is the deep truth of these all at once soothing and suffocating formative feelings of home.
I'm running late, and I do mean literally legging it. Classic. Rucksack slung over my shoulder. It's only a couple of days, but it's packed full. 4 books. Who am I kidding? I'm giving myself 10 minutes to get to the station. Brilliant. There isn't a bus into town into time for my train, so I take the scenic route down Kirk's Lane. It's nothing more than a track, to be honest, but it passes these fields as old as England, Grandpa says. In the pasture to my right, there's a little stout horse, blind in one eye. Feel like if she blinks at you, she's wishing you luck. I slow as I pass her. Respect. See how the pearl catches the light. She nods at me. Be on your way. Ta, mate. I accelerate. I'm dancing over potholes and puddles, wonder what I must look like from someone's conservatory window. Trevor, it's that lanky lad again. Hark at his calots. My feet know this route. I can take in the view. Huge windmill across the way, waving like a dinner lady with big sweeping arms. Hiya, duck, you alright? Belper High below where my mum went. Can't imagine living up the road from your old school your whole life, be like study leave forever. She says her and her late best mate Alison planned all their expeditions from there. I hope I'm inheriting a bit of that spirit to wander. They say Belper, and I say this for everyone, sorry, comes from the French beau repère, beautiful retreat. I can never tell if Belper's beautiful or just where I found my feet. The wreck's above me now, with its plain little playground and wood chippings that I find stowawayed in every pair of trainers I've ever had. Above that, the hill where I had my first kiss that felt like hunger. I don't linger. Except, well, the sunsets there are immense and apocalyptic, scarlet and hazy, knowing how to make an exit. The moon starts a staring contest with the setting sun and always wins. That moon's caught me doing this route in reverse. Nights that I've been drunk and stumbling up and back and accidentally trod in a cow pat. Fantastic. The Reeboks haven't appreciated that. And the moon's still up this morning. Must have wanted to see me off. Grandpa and Mum still keep milkman person hours. Makes that moon a family friend. She's heard they might be building on Ballsmore again. This inland sea of green between me and the glowworm factory. Threatened every year. Mum gets worked up, me and my brother are petition to petition, I get tweeting at Belper Town Council, but where will people sled? And I reckon that horse could take on a bulldozer. One look would knock the electrics dead. I'm at Parks now. The houses closer together and muttering a little. My dad's mates from round here. Steve, who said, "You shouldn't give up on your writing," and danced on a table at my dad's 60th. Priceless. Him and a girl from primary school who, 10 years since I'd last seen her, came into the bookshop where I work with a baby. I worked there and she brought in a baby. And asked if it was like a library. Well, kind of, but I didn't want to ask anything from her in return. Probably still owe her a pencil sharpener or an apology, or she ended up buying We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Excellent choice, that. And then she slipped back out into the myth of herself. I manoeuvre brambles. Turns out you're never too tall to be impervious to them. Nettles jumping at my ankles, damn culottes. I'm onto the little dash of trees that lead down to the brook, laughing at me as I slip on the mud but do not fall, all in the recovery. Ahead, a dog walker stands to the side to let me pass, her spaniel grinning at me like, "Oh, I can see you're in a rush, but I am beautiful," acknowledge that. I manage to rasp out a "thank you" as I pass. And then I'm up and onto a stile, stone but made soft and kind, with hands patting its head as they pass. Makes me think of long walks with every dog we've ever had, pulling thorns out of paws, learning to throw with my dad. Then the market. Cobbles aren't great for running on, but the gradient's helping. Thinking, who built the town square on a tilt? Can imagine my nana dropping oranges and tutting. Well, I appreciate it today, even if the travelling carnivals never do. Don't really fancy a healthy seltzer at 45 degrees. I stand at traffic lights and breathe. My nana. Orphaned, early last century, 2 years old, tuberculosis. Well, not that early last century, is it? The 30s. Remote will have meant a lot more to her. And vaccine. And to think that on these streets, maybe this spot, she was going about her business too. And Eunice tapped her on the shoulder. Said, "I'm your sister." Said, "We're family." "Oh, I've been hoping to bump into you." Helped her pick up her oranges again. Amber. I blink back into my own shoes. And then it's green, no time to lose. Around the corner and there it is, the flow of King Street. More hairdressers than lampposts, I bet. But one high street of the year says every Belper shopkeeper you've ever met. And to be fair, there's bunting up, always. But as of last year, there's also rainbows. Flags still hang on most shops. Colours reminding you love's never just one thing. See, my Belper had its first Pride in 2019 and it was just bliss. Every stranger's smile felt like a kiss. I introduced a friend once and they said, "You know, you could have only come from a place like this." Must be the fields or the hills or the horse or the... Oh, I'm not going to make this train, am I? If I'd given myself more time, I could have nipped to Greg's or got a coffee. As it is, I am hurtling past the chippy and the bank, Poundland that once was Summerfield, thinking, well, if I miss this, it's an hour till the next, but the slope is propelling me to the station still like, come on son, you've no time to kill. I slip down a jitty, past trees that played with my hair when I was younger, hopscotching roots bursting from the path. I think of playgroup and Sundays and running down to the river gardens, giddy on sugar. I saw a crocodile in the water once, Well, Grandpa let me believe it, and I've never seen any evidence otherwise, so always had an active imagination. Returning there in sixth form in friends' cars, with McDonald's wrappers in the footwell, listening to Stolen Dance by Milky Chance, Shouldn't Talk About It. Always had an active imagination. I'm slaloming past strangers now, but they all look so familiar somehow. I can just about see the platform from the bridge. I daren't look, but result! The little two-carriage thing is sat there chuntering away like I owe it a favour for waiting. I thought I'd made record time. No, it turns out it's 4 minutes delayed. There's no barriers in Belper, so I slip by, hop on, no problem, job done. It's quiet enough that I can sit my rucksack next to me. It crumples, exhausted, me and Alduck. It's not long to Derby from here. Me and the Derwent and the A6 all racing. From Derby, Midland Station, a connection. Well, I'll make it if I run. Could be anywhere. Exeter, Edinburgh, Bristol, Birmingham. Today it's London to visit my brother who hates it when I'm late but definitely adds it to the upper hands he can pull. Well, not today. I'm bringing him a bit of Belper, the town he just about forgets, till I rock up again. For now, I launch. Naff tea from a trolley will feel like rocket fuel. And as I settle into the fuzz of the seat like old cinema furniture, I'm hurtling past flickers of my grandmother's hands that delivered babies that made us rock cakes, cags in bags, fruit pastel wrappers, Grey's knees, walkie-talkies with Will in the woods. After a night shift, Dad had a kebab in the morning, weekends walking in the Peak District, the Chebin, school ties, Grandad calling Dad to say, come over, the cactus is flowering again once a year, and it always, always would. Getting lost in Wilco's. It's 4 aisles long. How did I manage that? Guess this place has always felt a bit bigger than it is. Fills the room you give it, like Mercury. I can reminisce until the cows come home. Or I do. Again. And Belper's the town that moved, so there'll always be a welcome. But what to do with it all? I've thought, days when it's cloudy with doubt and I'm here again, like I wasn't brave enough to step any further. How to make tomorrow different when it all feels so familiar? I settle for a bit, look around, and I itch to wander. BEAU REPAIRE though. Beautiful retreat. I used to think that last bit meant that coming home was like giving up ground, a defeat. But being from Belper, I see it now. I am always, always going somewhere. And I am always, always, always coming back.
I lost signal. I was at the other end of the carriage ringing the DVLA about my driving licence, a replacement, and they stuck me on hold for ages and then the train went through a tunnel. I don't know why I don't just do it online, but then I've been self-isolating in the bedroom for 2 weeks and I think talking to someone's become a bit of a luxury, hasn't it? I've got my pashmina instead of a mask, or a pashmono, as my mum likes to call them. This is so strange, isn't it? I feel like I've forgotten how to talk properly. Face to face, I'm suddenly so aware that it's there, of my expressions, like how this eye creases when I talk, and if you look, my Cupid's bow is slightly to the right. And I've got big goggly eyes and gap teeth. And when I put my glasses on, I look like Alan Carr. There wasn't a lot to do in the bedroom except for stare in the mirror. I actually lost my driving licence last year. Got it nicked. I do live in London. I don't know why I feel the sudden need to replace it. I think it's probably because we couldn't go anywhere, what with the corona, so it's sort of a reaction to that. I haven't had a car for 11 years. There's no point in London. It's too expensive to park and it's quicker to get the tube. It's not like back home. In Chesterfield, you have to drive everywhere, and if you do get a bus, it's like one every half hour. I miss driving. Never have to worry about some bloke opposite whacking out his Tesco meat feast and leaving crumbs all over the table. But hey, right now, I'm just grateful to be moving. Second-hand Ford Fiesta. That was my first car, called Kit, after some character in a book. God, I was pretentious. And I had a cuddly sheep in the back with big goggly eyes like mine and a magnet on my dashboard which read, "Don't try to understand me, just love me." Everyone likes to think they're complicated when they're 17. That car was freedom. I'd drive to my mates in Alfreton or to the cinema in Derby, be the designated driver on a night out round Sheffield, ride round the city past Republic, the Lead Mill, windows down, Green Day blasting, occasionally take that. And me and my mate would drive round our exes' houses and sit outside. I don't know why we did that actually. But it was exciting to suddenly be able to go anywhere. I'd lived my whole life in a cul-de-sac, which, however lovely, is ultimately a dead end. I'm talking a lot. Sorry. I talk dead fast and dead loud. My boyfriend downloaded this app which measures decimal level. He was worried I was doing permanent damage to his ears. I was a shy kid. I guess I've used volume to make up for it. You learn to be loud when you grow up in a town. It's the only way to get heard. Towns don't have voices, do they? We don't appear on the telly or win awards for culture. That's cities. They're big and important and they have cathedrals. We have churches with a bent spire. Chesterfield's one claim to fame. Well, that and Sir John Hurt. Until he died. And Joe Guest. And Paul Burrell. And that builder who shacked up with Katie Price. Then we got a headline. The only time. Well, except, do you remember 1997? The SPIRE make it to the FA semi-final. Chesterfield against Middlesbrough, second division against Premiership. That put us on the map. The one time my mum became a football fanatic. It's all the teachers could talk about in school. Everyone expected us to be pummeled, but we drew 3-3. In fact, we won. There's video evidence, except the ref disallowed the goal. Best not to bring that up on a night out round town. It was a taste, though. For once, the whole world seeing what we were made of. You don't think like that when you're young, though, do you? Then the world stops at the horizon. Back then, Chesterfield was just some word written inside my PE bag. It was a back lane near our house where we'd go and pick blackberries or go sledging on the Dumbles. Build dens by the pond to spy on the alcoholics from the halfway house. It was Mr. Jackson, the old man, who'd wave on my walk to infants. It was Sunday school and family roasts and Nora Batty socks, one up, one down. It was Mardy Bums and Manny books and cat collections displayed in Chesterfield Library. Yes, really. It was Barry on the corner who couldn't talk but who'd stand at his gate smiling. And later it was a man at the end of the road who'd sit in his window with nothing but a dressing gown on and invite us in for ice cream. And we'd laugh and cycle off, thrilled to have met a real-life paedophile. Except he probably wasn't. When I was a teenager, Chesterfield was bus journeys into town and the Pounder Bag Man on the market. Hudson's, where we'd buy the #1 CD single every Saturday. It was phone boxes and hayfields. It was me leaving everything I've ever owned on trains. It was pub crawls from the Slug and Fiddle to Chandler's to the Barking Badger, and it was my mum calling her friend Lois, because that's how it's spelled. And my bro saying it's a good job she ain't got a mate called Siobhan. It was family trips every Saturday, climbing the rocks at Frogger Edge, fish and chips at Matlock Bath, Bakewell tarts at, well, that's the Chesterfield mum tells people about on holiday. You've heard of Matlock? Bakewell? Chatsworth House? There are a handful of people in the world who genuinely believe we live in Chatsworth House. When I got my car, it was first loves, Friday night Chineses and Blockbuster Video. Country pubs, where when you left it was so dark you couldn't see your hands, but there was always a sky full of stars. And then one day it felt like I'd used Chesterfield all up. The whole of Derbyshire, like the map was too small. I didn't take my car with me when I first went to uni. My parents drove me there. I don't know if they were upset, they'd have never let me know. My mum's an organist for funerals, and like she said, they don't need her weeping and wailing as she plays them out. Not that my leaving was a funeral. Or maybe it was. Sort of. It was good that I didn't have a car at the beginning. There's always a chance you'll go home and not come back. I took it down eventually, when I realised I could park for free at Tesco. It was only an hour and a half back home down the motorway. You could finish lectures on Friday evening and be back in time for tea. Well, when the car didn't break down. In second year, my nonna died. With the money she left, I upgraded to a second-hand Ford Ka named Pip, after my then boyfriend. The car lasted longer than the relationship, resulting in another drive home, down the M1 to Junction 29, blasting out Peak 107's late night love affair. Through Calo into Brim, down the cul-de-sac to endless cups of tea and curry, and photo albums which, thanks to my dad, he'd already been removed from. That's what home was then, an escape. Until I moved back after my degree. Then it was hell. For my parents. I felt like I'd got back with an ex, a slightly older, fatter one. A few days of relief at the familiar, and then all those things you found adorable now felt like someone scraping a fork down your insides. Like waking up to the sound of mum playing a full-on piano concert at 8 a.m, or dad asking if I'd got my phone, purse and keys every time I stepped outside. Suppose I was worried I'd never leave. And what would be the point of uni and all that debt then? If I stayed, I'd just be her again. Nora Batty, the girl who loses things, a chicken runner, the girl who can't say squirrel. Squirrel. Squirrel? The one who has an all right nose and teeth, actually. It's Ross she needs to worry about. The girl who's too shy, too loud. If I stayed, I'd be like the pot animals in the garden. The one-eared rabbit, the headless duck, amputees caused by shuttlecocks and footballs. I'd fall to bits. Get bent out of shape. Look what we did to the crooked spire. Then one night the phone went and my mum goes, "That might be Lois." And I say, "It's Lois, it's bloody Lois." Except it wasn't. It was for me. I'd got a job. 3 days later, I moved down to London. Just drove out of the cul-de-sac, Pip crammed full of my stuff, and I didn't stop. I held on to Pip as long as I could, but when I moved central London, there was no place to park. There's no point paying for a car to sit at home on the driveway. And it's only 1 hour, 51 minutes on the train from St Pancras. That's 4 Coronation Streets, 6 if you count the time it takes me on the tube. Mum kept saying, "But it's good you've got it for when you come back," which I can see now was her way of holding on. I've been in London nearly 14 years. Lived in the same flat with my boyfriend for 11. I can't tell if my accent's faded or got stronger. I think it depends if I've had a drink. I stopped losing stuff. I'm definitely getting nesh. I used to go around Ches Vegas in the middle of winter with no more than a miniskirt and a boob tube. Now I wear a blanket when I watch TV. All my mates are starting to get hitched. Have babies. At least invest in good wine glasses. I still drink whiskey from a mug. We're still unmarried. Still rent. Although we adopted a cat called Dave, so not total commitment phobes. We've recently started saying hello to the neighbours. One invited us over for a dinner party on her roof, which was amazing, except I don't think we'll be invited back, because at the end of the night I realised I'd been eating out of a serving bowl. Sometimes I look around and it seems London life is all about having the right bowls or the right glasses. From that neighbour's roof you could see the whole of the city. An entire skyline standing to attention, the spires so perfectly straight. Is it possible to be homesick after 14 years? Home. That's what I still call it. Junction 29, the train stop sandwiched between Derby and Sheffield. The house at the bottom of the cul-de-sac, not a place to pass through, but a destination. The lockdown was the first time I've not been able to get home. I mean physically unable. And just knowing I couldn't, well, this is the first journey I've made since it's all been over. Belated celebrations for my mum's birthday. I've got her a present. A necklace. Necklace. Is that how you say it? Or do you say necklace? I don't know if that's a Midlands thing. But then I thought saying Rottweiler instead of Rottweiler and cutlery instead of cutlery was a Ches thing. Turns out it's just my mum. There it is. You see it? The crooked spire. And there's my mum and dad waiting on the platform, like always. I get off the train. My foot's barely touched the floor when Dad goes, "You got everything, your phone, keys, yeah." I roll my eyes. Turn to see the train leave with my purse still on the table. Crap.
People never know where I'm from. It's a blessing and a curse. There's an assumption of who I am, where I've been and where I'm going. My mum would tell me stories about her mum telling her stories of being in Jamaica and attending 9-night parties. 9-night is an extended wake that lasts for 9 nights. The family would drink, eat and exchange stories. On the last night, the deceased spirit would depart. This is sort of like that. Like a 9-night but a Derby version. A Chad version. A Chad night. With my freshly straightened hair burnt to a crisp, trying my best to fit in, I walk hand in hand with my new girlfriend to the social club at the bottom of the street. This is an invitation to a party I didn't want to receive. I'm nervous, I feel uncomfortable, and to put it bluntly, I've met people like this before. I know how it turns out. Haven't often been told, I don't like packies, but you're alright. Will the ambiguity of my appearance cause issue? Well, I'm assuming it will, but you know what assuming does. We're outside the social club. It's an awkwardly shaped bungalow with a carling sign out front. There's a woman outside having a fag. She gives us a friendly smile. I wonder if I'd receive the same greeting if I wasn't with my girlfriend. She's missing more than a handful of teeth. Perhaps she took them out to fit more racism in her mouth. That was mean. She's probably a lovely woman. Probably. I don't want to be here. To step over the threshold into the unknown. I can't breathe. It's kick-off time. Hey up me dog. Laura, your mum's already put your name down on list. And your new fella. Lovely to meet you, darling. You too. Friendly and inviting. What's going on? I closed the door with the no swearing sign on, and we're in. I'm a new face to all the regulars. Hello, my little chicken. Come grab some snap. They've put a good buffet on for her. Scotch eggs, sausage rolls. They've even got bird's cobs. Round these parts, a fresh bird's cob is treated like a fine wine or a delectable bit of fish poo. A cob is just a bread roll or a bun or a barm cake. Or, if you're from Cov, a batch. Or even a bloomer. And if you support the Rams, you know that he's watching. And we got bingo and play cards, right? And the raffle. Do you want a ticket? Yeah, please. That'd be a squid, please, dog. Paul enters, an imposing man with a hands the size of dustbin lids. He's probably coming to squash my head like a grape. Will it be one of his 5 a day? He greets me by nearly breaking my hand with the firmest of handshakes. Hi, youth. How you doing? I'm good, thanks. Rita wanted a couple £100 sticking behind Barfoot today. Help yourself to a drink. Oh, are you sure? For your bastard boots, youth. Oi, there'll be no fucking effing and jeffing today. It's Rita's funeral. Time to remember her. I turn to my girlfriend as I have a few questions. This is a funeral. You've brought me to a funeral. She tells me it's not a funeral, it's a wake, and that it's fine. I look around the room. Everyone's in black, and there's a couple of women in flip-flops, which is surprising for a funeral. Sorry, wake. I get to the bar. This isn't the kind of place where they ask for ID. The barman's eyeing me up. He's playing hard to get. Is it my baby face, or too much melanin? Either way, I can feel the adrenaline. He breaks, and with a smile, he asks me, what am I having? I want a Malibu and Coke, but that probably won't make the best impression. All the women are on shorts, Benadryl measurements with a dash of Coke for colour, and the men are on pedigree or Nuki Brown. I go for pedigree. £2.10 a pint. Can't bloody beat it. It's awful, but I force it down like it's ambrosia. We take a seat with some older ladies. The conversation's in mid-flow. Oh yeah. She didn't have her teeth in and her hair was grey and her stomach was showing over top of her skirt, but she looked well. Oh, lovely to see she came to see her off. Oh, ain't he handsome? Oh yeah. If I were 20 years younger, you're lying through your tooth. You mean more like 40 years, you bloody dinosaur. Ah, put them talons away, cheeky bugger. They cackle with laughter. I take this as a compliment. I've often heard I just don't find black men attractive, or Asian men, and so on and so forth. A balding, pot-bellied ham of a man is setting up the PA machine. The women talk about how handsome he is. For some reason, the compliment doesn't mean as much anymore. The raffle is about to begin. You could cut the tension with a knife. What will be won? A crate of Carling, a box of chocks, or smellies? Smellies are toiletry sets. But with that logic, shouldn't food be called Eaties or Tasties? Last number, 69. The number 69 is greeted with a cheer and a wolf whistle. An older lady staggers up to the front to collect her winnings. A roast chicken, taters and veg, all the trimmings to take home. I'm introduced to a group of lads. I hold my breath as I dread to think what they're going to say to me. I'm not saying I assume everyone is racist. Or am I? In situations like this, it was always in the back of my mind. And me personally, I'm not racist. I know several white people. Here's a few examples, as we don't have time for all of them. 1. We used to play football on the concrete behind Toys R Us. We were playing against some older boys, and they didn't enjoy the fact that the overweight foreign-looking lad was better at football than them. It got tense, so we left. We came back to find they'd left a little present for me. A crudely scratched swastika and the M-word, but it had been misspelt and drawn too close together. Their penmanship was atrocious. My friend asks, "Who's Nigel?" 2. Our hangout became the back of Aldi. I don't know if it was the convenience of being metres away from low-priced German sausage, or the fact that I'd had my first kiss with the only other non-Caucasian girl in our year group, because we were told we should. But suddenly, we all felt like men. This feeling of masculinity quickly vanished when another group of older boys came up to us, and one of them pressed a small blade against my back and told me to go back home to where I came from. 3. All the time I walked home my birthday, and a group of brothers shouted racial abuse at me on my birthday. I wasn't expecting a birthday cake with 13 candles on. I just wanted to make my way home. So you can see why I was slightly reticent to meet them. I'm hoping my love for football will save me. It's usually a common ground. I used to save my dinner money and buy Panini football stickers on the way home from school instead of food. To quote Sex and the City, I just felt like it fed me more. Who do you support? Coventry? Nah. What international team do you support? I see what they mean. Probably not the right time to make a joke and say India or Bangladesh. I feel nervous. I'm starting to sweat. Perhaps this is where it all unravels, or where they unravel me. England? I support England. This is the right answer. In years to come, Terry will call Anton Ferdinand a black see you next Tuesday. This will be okay because he's England captain. This will make me love them a little less, but another international tournament's around the corner, so I'll forget. They begin to mock the team I support, but it's friendly, nothing untoward. They laugh. They're laughing, and it's fine. I think they're laughing with me, not at me, so I'll join in. Went to the game in September, actually. The 1-1? Would have won if the ref had given that late penalty. And if my auntie had bollocks, she'd be my uncle. Can't argue with that logic. We get comfortable. They tell me stories of seasons past. These boys dream in black and white. Some old boys chip in. These folks still remember them days. The 96, the strike in 84. They talk about the closure, how it felt like a death. I could never understand that. Job's a job, innit? Probably should have got off my arse and picked up a book. These old boys still remember how they were treated and don't want to let the sun shine for a city that's usually red, not blue. Another thing that will change in years to come. Age doesn't have to be an excuse. Talk to your elders. These boys know what they know and they like what they like. And they seem to like me. Listen, youth. Someone were telling me that one of them pits was turned into a sushi factory. I quite like sushi. Sushi factory? Sushi? I know. That's raw fish. Oh, God, no. That sounds awful to me. Rita wants to thank her lucky star she's not here to see this. Sounds like something you get down at London. Bloody yuppies. Can't trust them as far as you can throw them. Lazy bastards. Can't even be asked to cook it. I like my fish cooked. Thank you very much. Give me a decent bit of haddock any day. Nice day down seaside, down Skeggy, a newspaper full of sushi. Seagulls will have a bastard field day. They call the numbers. It's tense. It's silent. You could hear a twiglet drop. 2 fat ladies, 88. Legs 11. Line. The woman goes up to collect her winnings. She's won a bottle of Malibu. I'm obviously very jealous. Looking for some, number 7. I've won. I've won. I scream out. Suddenly, there's a roar of laughter. Everyone's looking at me. Ah, bless him. Listen, Doug. Play line first, then we play full house. We've all made that mistake. Don't worry about it. Oh, I see. Thanks. We've got you, Doug. It's fine. I see the error of my ways, but it's okay. The drinks are flowing and everyone's having a great time. This funeral's better than most parties. This bloke must be at least in his late 60s. He's seen my girlfriend grow up, telling me how lovely she is, and I agree with him. He then tells me, if you hurt her, I'll kill you. It was all going so well. I thought I'd gotten away without a death threat. I'm not really sure how to respond. There's an awkward pause. He laughs. It's bravado. It's banter. He's watched her grow and just wants to look after her. The prizes are won and the games are over. Rita had the day that she wanted. Her life has not just been remembered but celebrated. There's a final centrepiece yet to be added to Rita's last table. An Elvis impersonator appears from behind the curtain with a bang. He's got more hair on his chest than his head, and I'm blinded by his red sparkling jumpsuit. But I'll give it to him. He's certainly going for it. He's gyrating so vigorously I'm concerned he's going to do himself a mischief. As we slow dance the early afternoon away to This Is My Heaven, I don't know if it's the pedigree talking, but I feel good. I feel welcomed. I feel a part of it. It feels like home. This was more than I expected. I've celebrated a woman's life in the way that she wished, in the place and with the people that she loved. It would have been nice to meet her. We are Derby, Super Derby. We are Derby, Super Rams.
Here's their security announcement. Passengers are